Good morning, members. We have already formed a quorum. It is also time to start, so I will declare the meeting open. On today's agenda, there are 6 items for discussion. Paper ECI 2017-18-1 has been circulated by the administration to members, which sets out the information about the changes to the directorate grade establishment that has been approved since 2006, as well as the impact on the directorate establishment caused by the 6 discussion items today. Just want to remind members that if you have direct or indirect pecuniary interest regarding any discussion item on today's agenda, please, in accordance with the requirement under Rule 823A, disclose the nature of the interest before you speak, and please be reminded of the voting provision concerning direct pecuniary interest under Rule 84. Paper EC 2017-18-3, Water Supplies Department. The proposal is to regrade 4 permanent posts of Assistant Director of Water Supplies to 4 government engineers in the WSD with immediate effect, so as to tie in with the operational needs and to enhance manpower planning. On the 28th of February 2017, the development panel has been consulted by the administration. In attendance with Mr. Vincent Mack, Deputy Secretary for Development Works, Mr. Enoch Lam, Director of Water Supplies, Mr. Chow Sai Wai, Assistant Director of Water Supplies, Mr. Wong Man Cheng, Assistant Director of Water Supplies, and Mr. Robert Chen, Assistant Director of Civil Engineering and Development. The panel chair of the Development Bureau, Mr. Tommy Cheung, is not a member of the ESC and he cannot attend today's meeting. I have got a note from the Secretariat and I will share the information with you. At the meeting on the 28th of February 2017, the Development Bureau had a discussion of this matter about the regrading proposal. Members do not object to the administration's proposal to refer the matter to this ESC. Some members have raised the following comments or concerns. First of all, regrading the posts will improve the development opportunities for engineering grade officers, but it should not be done at the expense of the promotional prospects of the mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and the chemists for waterworks. While regrading the proposals, the head of the relevant division, that is the waterworks chemist, can only be promoted to become an AD for the E&M and not for the development AD, and it is not regarded as reasonable. And it has been pointed out that the current arrangements are better than the new proposal in terms of deployment of manpower flexibilities. Paper 827 has been circulated to members to answer members' questions. Mr. Chen, I don't need to take up all the time allotted. I don't have strong views. I understand that for the head of the development branch, he will also lead the negotiation with the Guangdong authorities. All the time, engineers have been holding this post. I won't say that an engineer is not good at contract negotiation. I want to know whether we have got a team of officers involved in the negotiation with the Guangdong authorities. Will this AD take up the negotiation work together with officers from like the financial services and the Treasury Bureau, or will he be the only person responsible for negotiation? Mr. Mack, we have a team responsible for negotiation and not just the AD himself. Basically, the Development Bureau itself is engaged in the negotiation as well. Before we go to the negotiation table, in relation to strategy as well as the relevant work, we do liaise with the FSTB before setting out to the negotiation. Do you have other views? For the other post, the AD New Works is also responsible for the new works as well as leading the arbitration and mediation of contractual disputes. He's also responsible for the relocation of the Diamond Hill surface reservoirs to caverns and the construction of the desalination plants at Changpeng O. Major projects. The government contracts are getting more and more complicated, and he has to lead the arbitration and mediation of contractual disputes. Before he takes up the post, should he be a person with such a background, or will he undergo training before he can better complete the task given to this AD? He will answer this question. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Member. The member is right to say that this is a very important post. And when we select the candidate to fill the post, he must be a person with a lot of experience in contractual work as well as the relevant work before he can be promoted. Well, if the administration is confident, then I don't have other views. Next, Leonard Wong, 5 minutes. Thank you, Chair. For the establishment proposals regarding the WSD, irrespective of the actual changes to be proposed, I think the Development Bureau and the Water Supplies Department lack transparency in their work. We expect a lot of follow-up work from the administration in the light of the Legend Water incident. The administration is expected to make sure that the water samples will be taken at the housing estates in relation to the first sample, so as to establish whether they are affected by lead or not. Now, 6 months have already passed, and I want to ask the director as to when he is going to honor the pledge. Now, we have asked you to do that, and yet you have been saying that the work will be done by consultants, but then the consultants' reports have never been given to us. It has never been made public, and all the time, all of you, including yourself and your AD, have been dodging the issue. You have never been told about the actual expert advice that you have been given. So please tell us whether you are going to disclose the information like the experts' reports. Will Mr. Lam, the director, be taking this question? Thank you. Well, regarding the work of the Development Bureau and the WSD, we have always been trying to enhance the transparency of our work. Take the WSD as an example. Recently, we have relaunched our website. We hope that we can inform the public about the latest developments, and whoever is interested will then have the latest information. As to the follow-up work of the Committee on Inquiry, we have been working together with the experts, the consultants, as well as the industry in relation to the implementation details. We would also check internally within the government as to how the work can be done smoothly. Once we can put the details into a document, we'll come back to the LegCo. Well, I don't think he has answered my questions. There have been a few questions. Well, the report was issued in June 2016. We were promised that it would only take 6 months to carry out the water sampling work. a year has already passed. You have engaged so many consultants and experts to write the reports for you. Have they been disclosed on your website? Yes. What about water sampling? Well, indeed, we have expected the work to be completed within a certain time frame. It's taken longer than expected. We are still sorting out the details. We are also talking to the industry about the arrangements, and we will, as soon as possible, disclose the information to the public. And we'll also go to the relevant panel to give an account. All I can say is to do it as soon as possible. Madam Chair, neither of my two questions has been answered. Well, if it goes like this way, then it will take a very long time just to complete this paper. So when are you going to test the water? Director, nothing to add. So he's not answering my questions. Is that the right attitude? Mr. Mack, the Development Bureau and the Water Supplies Department have been working very hard. And we have been talking to the stakeholders and the relevant bureaus and departments. We want to set out this next step. After we've completed that task, then we will disclose the information to the public to follow up on the lead in water incident. Not answered, well, you can have another round. Dr. Yu, first of all, I have sympathy, full sympathy for the public officers. Well, for this particular paper, it is cost neutral. I've been reading the basic law. I just wonder whether you need to come to the LegCo. Well, if you don't involve additional financial resources, then it is merely a matter of regrading the post. I'm not sure whether you have needed to come here, but I will put that aside. But then we have got a very strong view here. After regrading the posts, some officers who could have been promoted to a particular post will now lose the chance. At the panel, there were very strong views, but you haven't written a paper to address the very strong concerns. So you seem to say that you are ignoring our views.
So how would you address this issue? I think Dr. Yu is talking about the post of Chief Laboratory Technician. In paragraph 21, we have explained we have considered now for the water quality analyst, what should the promotion path be? We have consulted the water science division, and the work will be kept inside the department. So our view is that we have considered different options, and we have also consulted colleagues of the relevant grades. Now, for water science division, mechanical engineering division and civil engineering division, all the colleagues think that our present proposal is acceptable. So you mean that, well, originally these people would have the chance to be promoted to the assistant director rank, but now they cannot. And you said that In the past, those that were promoted to this post, like 95% of the people promoted to this post were engineers. So what about the other 5%? Yes, you are right. For our paper, our suggestion is that while we are reviewing the 4 posts of assistant directors, we would look at the job requirements, and then we will regrade according to our review findings. So for the assistant directors, we try to find out which type of people should be the most appropriate candidates. As you mentioned just now about the water quality division colleagues, we have conducted a review. Now we have 5 posts of assistant directors and 15 chief officers, including the chief engineer in the electrical and mechanical engineering department. So after the review, the ratio hasn't changed. That means there will be 3 chief professionals, and they will be fighting for 1 post. So it's still, the ratio is still 1 to 3. So for the opportunities for promotion is still the same, 1 to 3. For the 4 posts of assistant directors, what capacity should they be in? So how about the laboratory technicians? He can be promoted to the assistant director of electrical and mechanical engineering division. In the past, this has happened. On the contrary, as I said just now, for the assistant director of development, in the past, the post has never been taken up by a person from the laboratory. So our goal is to review the post of the 4 assistant directors and what types of professionals should be put in such position. This is the most important issue. And after the change, would colleagues of certain grades be affected? Well, however, the promotional ratio has not been changed. After this review, it will still be 1 to 3. Now, for Dr. Yu's question, he asked, how come these are not new positions? You are just regrading, so why do you need to seek approval from us? Well, however, according to our terms of reference, for this type of issue, that is regrading, they will have to come to us. That is, if they have to create or delete a certain directorate post. So that is why they are coming here. Second round, Dr. Helena Wong. I hope that the director and the Development Bureau can answer my question again. First, the government has promised that in accordance with the report of the Water Review Committee, they will conduct another test in 6 to 9 months' time. And it started counting in June 2016, so now it's delayed. It's almost a year now. So this is a very simple question. I would like to ask them, when will they do the test again? And if they don't do it, why? And if they are doing the test, when will they do it? And also for the consultancy report, how many meetings have these consultants held, and what recommendations have they made in order to avoid the tainting of potable water by lead again in the future? Can you answer this question? We don't have anything to add. Just now we have given you the answer. And we will give you the details later when they are available. Well, I think this is very disappointing. Earlier on, you've promised us to do this, and you have given us a timetable, and now I'm asking you when you will do it, and you're just telling me that you will do it as soon as possible. So what is barring you from doing it now? Because now that's already a huge delay. So do you have any problems that cannot tell us? As my colleague answered you, now we are looking at different options. And we are consulting different policy bureaus and departments. We have also been talking to the industry. So we haven't forged a consensus yet. We need some more time. As the director said just now, we will finish the work as soon as possible, and then we will come back to LegCo, and we will also make the result public. Well, we asked them about water testing, and it said that they have hired international experts. However, when you review the lead-tainted water, you already employed some experts, and now you are saying that you will talk to the industry. So whom are you talking to, the experts or the industry? Director, so the government will conduct another round of water tests, but it's just a matter of time, right? Well, we have hired experts, and they have given us suggestions. Internally, the government is discussing these suggestions. And for some of the suggestions, we have to consult the industry. So at the moment, we do not have a consensus option yet. Now, the experts have given you views. I'm asking you about their views and the expert reports, and you are not disclosing this. You are just consulting the industry. Why can't you tell us more about that? And you should also inform the public. Now, some of the public housing estates are having their water mains changed, and after that, they will ask us whether the water quality is acceptable, and we will have to take water samples. So how would water samples be taken? They would turn on the tap and allow the water to flow for a few minutes before they take the sample. But I think this is wrong, because then you would not know whether there will be, well, you won't know whether the water is tainted by heavy metal. You have to tell us how water should be tested. I've been asking you repeatedly, and you haven't answered me. And then the whole community will continue to drink lead-tainted water. Fernando Zhang. Well, this is about a regrading in the water supplies department, and this doesn't involve additional funding. So you are just regrading for assistant directors. Is this related to the lead-tainted water issue? Just now I heard Dr. Helena Wong's questions, and those are also the public's concerns. So you need to give us a timetable. Mr. Justice Chen Heng-wei and Mr. Lai Nin had an independent research, and a report was done in the middle of 2016. And the report is said that the WSD does not have the responsibility to define the quality of water tap. However, they do not understand the standards of international water quality. That is the standards set by the WHO, and they haven't also complied with the British standards. They haven't updated the relevant laws accordingly, and they haven't ensured the validity of the registration system of plumbers. They haven't adopted the proper procedures to take water samples. So there have been a lot of mistakes. So I would like to ask you, for these 4 assistant directors, now you're regrading them. Is this related to the tainted water incident? And will this help resolve the problems highlighted in the report? In our paper, we have stated that for this round of regrading, we hope that it can reflect better the nature of the post, and we also hope to effectively enhance our manpower arrangements. So for our proposal, it has nothing to do with the lead tainted water incident. But the lead tainted water incident is a major mistake, and this independent report clearly points out that the WSD is responsible and a lot of improvements have to be made. So now you are regrading these 4 posts. How come this is totally unrelated to the incidents? You should have learned from the incidents and make improvements or reforms accordingly. And if you are saying that the regrading is totally unrelated to that report, then I would be very concerned. You are making such major personnel changes, but this is totally not related to the report. Now, after the report was issued, the Development Bureau and the WSD have been actively following up. Well, after the review, we have already been doing some work. Now, there are some recommendations. For example, the water services ordinance should be amended, and now we are doing the waterworks ordinance should be amended, and now we're doing something about it. Our follow-up work will be divided in stages. So when we are ready to move forward in certain area, we will do that first. Now, for this report, it says that in order to avoid the recurrence of such an incident, the WSD should improve its water sampling procedures. So you should take the initiative to do another round of water tests for public housing, and you haven't given us an answer in that area. And also, the roles of Water Authority and WSD should be clearly distinguished, and also an independent body should be set up to monitor the work of the WSD. All this should be done urgently, but you don't have a timetable and plan at all. And now you are coming here to tell us that you are regrading these 4 assistant directors. Why is this so urgent?
Do have a brief reply, Deputy Secretary. First of all, let me say why we would like to have the regrading exercise. As the Director of Water Supplies has said, we have looked at the nature of the posts and would like to regrade the posts. And as we have mentioned, later this year, we will be merging 2 grades of engineers, one with the CEDD, the other with the WSD. The 2 streams of the engineer grade officers will be merged, and therefore we would like to regrade the posts. All right, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong for the first round. Chair Bruce Lee has said that be water, my friend. Now you are dealing with water. I know what you are saying. You hope that by having this arrangement, more candidates will join the pool, and then you will have your talents, you will have your manpower, and then they can be promoted to the posts. However, the question is, you're not going to resolve the problem, just like in the case of the FHD, Mrs. Yip. Well, the FHD and the LCSD have come here to say that they would like to get more posts so that they can help the people of Hong Kong. But they are really bad. They are bullying the old lady. Well, right next door, we're going to have a meeting on the Water Works Ordinance. I'm not criticizing you. The technocrats are engaged in carrying out their work. The electrical here is dealing with politics. Mrs. Yip, you have been an official for many years. Why don't you take us to the Water Supplies Department and let us go down the list of, say, 9 items and check which one can be done. Now, for the lead water incident, the matter hasn't yet been resolved. If you say that because you haven't been able to get the right caliber candidates and so you can't address the problem of lead water. Now, Mr. Michael Look said that we were blocking the provision of money and so we can't use the XRL. Well, in fact, it's a matter of this has been completed and so the administration is asking for supplementary provision. I think the establishment camp has been criticizing us all the time. Now, that's the crux of the matter. If we give you the money and you can redeploy the people you need, then can you give an answer as to when you can test all the water samples for lead? So do you have such a plan? But I don't think you have. So when you talk about promotion, you talk about enlarging the pool, yes, the ideas are legitimate. But do you have a target? Even the establishment camp has criticized you for performing badly. You haven't been able to test all the water samples before the general election. You said that if there were 2 water samples to be taken, you could not follow them up. If more lead has been found, not to mention compensation, you cannot even deal with the immediate remedial work. Now a year has already passed. What are you going to do? I think the administration has been exempted, so confined it to government buildings. Are you going to test all the water samples? And we asked you whether you send anybody to the mainland to check the manufacturing of the parts of the water, of the plumbing system. Well, they all earn a higher salary than us. Is that right, Mrs. Yip? Certainly. Now, we're humble. The other members are more hardworking. I'm lazy, but I can still pick up their points. So my question is, when are you going to complete the water sampling of your target buildings concerning lead in water? Have you come up with a new arrangement? And for households who have been affected, how are you going to check their physical health? And when lead is found in the water supply system, are you going to send a water wagon to supply water to them? Deputy Secretary, I don't have anything to add in relation to lead in water and the testing of water samples. I just want to say that for this particular paper, it is cost neutral. Yes, I know, just to allow your engineers to get promoted. That is to say, you're removing the artificial barrier. But my question is, when they're promoted, what will they do? I would rather you come here to get more money from us. I don't like the idea put forward by Michael Look. He said that we were blocking the way. He said that we were preventing the tunnel from being built. I'm really angry. He didn't even know the basic facts, just like what Ray Chen has said. Your time is up, Mr. Jeremy Tam. Thank you, Madam Chair. For this regrading exercise, I have a question. I've read from the papers, it has been reported that when there is water overflowing from the reservoirs, there was this idea to link up the reservoirs so that we won't be wasting the water we have collected. I want to know which division of the department is responsible for this particular idea. Thank you. As to the rainwater tunnels, is within the jurisdiction of the Drainage Services Department. My understanding is that the relevant department would very much like to complete the design work, and they will try to bid for the resources to take it forward. Thank you, Madam Chair. I need to ask this question. I did ask the DSD. They said that it was something within your department rather than theirs. Now you have clarified the position. It's the DSD, but then it doesn't mean that you are not party to it. I think one of your ADs must be responsible for the liaison work with the DSD. Now, who among the 4 post holders will do it? Director. The member is right. The WSD will tie in with the work of the DSD. It should be the AD development. All right. Is there a timetable? When will that be done? And at what stage is the current progress? Mr. Chang? Thank you, Mr. Tam, for your question. For the plan to transfer the water among the reservoirs, as the director has said, we are at the stage of design. Later on, we'll bid for the resources, and then we'll take it forward. So it will be at a later stage that we can come up with a firm timetable. The development branch will liaise closely with the DSD because the water to be transferred will eventually arrive at our reservoirs, and we will talk to each other to see how we can put it to best use. Well, the rainwater tunnels, desalination, reclaimed water, water loss management, etc. And this AD is also responsible for negotiation on the Dongjiang water. Now, if we have desalinated water, reclaimed water, rainwater transfer, after all such has been done, it means that we may have a reduced demand for Dongjiang water. Now, it says that the AD development leads the negotiation with the Guangdong authorities. Is he the negotiating team's leader? Or would it be somebody else from other departments of the administration? Or is this AD leading the team? Is he the head? As I have said, we have a negotiation team. We have the AD from the WSD with somebody from the Development Bureau. Well, before we go to have the negotiation, there would be internal discussion involving the FSTB concerning the strategies. Yes, the point is noted. But then as far as the ranks are concerned, who's the most senior officer in the team? Would it be the AD or would it be somebody else who's more senior, playing the leading role? So which bureau and which officer, please? Who will supplement? Well, for public officers attending the negotiation will involve different ranks and different posts depending on the stage. At first, it will be the AD taking the lead with input from the Development Bureau. Further down the process, we may need more senior officers. Well, who will have the final say? What is the rank of that officer? Who will have the final say? It will be the Secretary for Development that will be signing the agreement on behalf of Hong Kong. So at the end of the day, it will be the Secretary for Development. All right, point taken. Thank you. Mr. Ray Chen, first round, 5 minutes. This is a regrading exercise. The administration has said that it would like to enhance staff planning. If the promotional prospects will not be affected, say they will not be denied the chance to be promoted, or the chance to be promoted will not be reduced, then we won't object. But then for paragraph 4 of the paper, it has been said that there is this plan to merge the two streams of the engineer grade officers under the DCED and the DWS later this year. I want to know what has to do with the regrading exercise. DS. It is exactly because we have this merger proposal. The WSD carried out a review. They would like to see whether we should make changes to the 5 AD posts, and upon the review, 4 of them have been proposed to be regraded as government engineer, with the other 80 posts remaining in the WSD. In terms of human resource planning and in terms of operational needs, we believe that it is better to merge the two streams of the engineer grade officers in the CDD and the WSD. And that's why with the regrading. Will the two exercises happen at the same time? Because you're going to merge the two grades in late 2017. Director, well, the nature of the work is such that it is better that the post be filled by an engineer grade under the CEDD. Before end of this year, there will be a merge, so we are going to regrade the AD post into government engineer under the CEDD.
And for the development panel, I think some of the members have asked questions about water supply to remote areas. The government has given us a paper on this. I would like to understand more. And you are saying that now there is no freshwater supply for 19 villages, but for Yuen Tong Ha in Taipo, you are doing the construction work, and by the end of this year, they will have water supply. So only 18 villages will remain. So it's all about cost efficiency. And you are saying that this is good because if there are not many inhabitants in a village, then the water would stay in the water mains for too long a time, and the quality will turn poor. So for these remaining 18 villages, if there are changes in the future, then you will conduct another review and try to find out if water can be provided to more villages. So what will you be looking at? Will you be looking at the population? So do you mean that if the number of villages double, then you will give them water? Or will you be looking at technology? Now, if the water stay in the water main for too long, when there is a new technology, the water will still remain fresh. So will you provide water to them at that time? And why are you now providing water to Yuen Tong Ha? What are the factors behind your decision? Director? Yes, the member is right. We would mainly consider the cost effectiveness and technologies. For some villages, if the population rises to a certain level, That would be one of the factors. Now, because if they have enough inhabitants, then more water will be used. So the water would not stay in the water mains, and as a result, bacteria may grow. So when we consider whether water should be provided to a village, we would consider the population. We have been monitoring the villages without water supply now. Now, they have other water sources. So are there problems with these water sources? We have been closely liaising with the Home Affairs Department. Now, if a village encounters water quality problem, we will follow up. And if the village population rises to a certain level, we will definitely follow up. Mr. Loy-Kwok. Madam Chair, for this arrangement, for CEDD and WSD, the staff's future promotional prospects will be affected. And in paragraph 16, this is explained. After the regrading, the 4G posts regraded from ADWS will come under the central authority of DECD as HOG and will be open to all CEs with DECD as HOG. And after the merger, all the engineer grade officers in WSD will come under DCED as HOG. And for the chief engineers in WSD, he would also be able to be deployed to other departments. So it seems that there will be more flexibility. So you have conducted consultation for the regrading exercise. So for CEDD and WSD, you must have talked to the staff. What are their views? Do they think that this new arrangement will be better for their future promotional development? Do they think there will be any negative impact? I think this is also very important. I believe you have spent quite some time on talking to them, and your colleagues must have accepted this, but I would like to know more. Director? Thank you. Yes, the member is right. For the regrading of the assistant directors of WSD and the merger of the two positions, and since 2008 we have been consulting our staff. So there have been concerns about the whole system as to whether this will be good for our employees. We have adopted a number of measures. In the last year, we again consulted the relevant grades and ranks, and we have also consulted staff unions. And after making changes to our plan, now the staff find this acceptable because now there are more opportunities for the officers to be deployed and promoted to different departments, and this will be better for the successions in different departments. So they welcome this proposal. Madam Chair, I support this regrading exercise. First round, Mr. Wilson Orr, Chairman. I support the regrading arrangement, but I hope that the government will look seriously at this. That is, after the regrading exercise, you will have to follow up on water works problems in different districts. For example, Kuntong is a seriously affected area. The water mains are really aging. You have spent a lot of time in maintaining them, but I don't see significant results. And water pipes continue to burst and leak. So for this regrading exercise, it should increase your efficiency. So can you promise us that your work efficiency can also be improved? After the regrading, I hope that you can enhance your communication with district councils and the LegCo. Well, I've been involved in district work, and it's very difficult to communicate with the WSD. Well, we want to talk to them about district water supply problems, but there were not enough chances for us to talk. So I hope that you can step up your efforts in this area, because we really hope that WSD staff can listen to local views. Can the government give us an answer as to how your work can be improved? Thank you, Mr. Orr, for your questions. As for the aging of underground water mains, we are very concerned about that. You mentioned Kuntong District Council. I will be going to the Kuntong District Council with my colleagues to report on our work. At the end of 2015, we have found out all the aging water mains, and they're about 3,000 miles. And we will be installing sensors in water mains. Then when a water pipe leaks, we can know as early as possible. And all the water mains are divided into 2,000 areas, and now we have already conducted a review in 1,000 areas. So we will step up our efforts. And now we are also looking at the asset management of underground water mains. We are looking at overseas experience, and we will adopt the latest technology so that we can manage underground water mains better. Now you're talking about underground asset management. At the moment, do you have anything to share with us about the progress? The WSD attaches a lot of importance to underground asset management, and we have looked at overseas experience as they adopt a risk management approach. So we will divide water mains into more important mains and less important mains. More important water mains means that they are bigger and they are providing water to a bigger population. So we have to deploy our resources accordingly. We will focus our resources on higher risk pipes which are bigger and providing water to more people. And we will be doing proactive work. That is, we will look at the condition of water mains, whether there's leakage. So, and we will look at the conditions of such mains. As for smaller water mains, for example, if they're just of a diameter of 2 inches or even smaller, we will handle them in another way. So now we have divided water mains into 2 major types. And then we will come up with plans to handle higher risk mains and lower risk mains. So this is what we have been doing. That is, we are making plans for this underground asset management system. First round, Mr. Edichi. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I would like to follow up on Mr. Orr's question. Well, for the development panel, in April, you gave them a reply. You say that when the water mains maintenance project is done, then a water leakage rate of 25% will be improved to 15%. So that means when you've done your work, water main leakage should be regarded as an operation restriction, but not a mistake. Now you will also be installing sensors. So when it comes to reducing leakage rate, do you have a target? Would you have a certain percentage that is another 15% reduction, something like that? Yes, you're right. In different countries, they would also be concerned about the leakage rate. In the year 2000, our leakage rate was 25%, and now it's 15%. In London, in 2014, the leakage rate is also 25%. For Taipei, it's 15.6%. As for how much the leakage rate should be, we should look at the actual situation of a place. In Hong Kong, we are very mountainous, and most of our reservoirs are in the hills. So the pressure in our water mains is 60 to 80 meters. So when Hong Kong is compared to flatter countries, our pressure is higher. And when we formulate our leakage rate, we have to look at our situation. If it's lower to 10% or 5%, how much work do we need to do? There are studies in the international arena. That is, we have to look at the economic benefits when we decide on a leakage rate. So now we are taking reference from other countries. And at the same time, we are also trying to implement the water intelligence network. So we will make calculation, and we will try to find out the leakage rates for Hong Kong. So now the WST sets it at 15%. Then after implementing the water intelligence network, there is still room for adjusting it downwards. After the implementation of the WIN, we will have a lot of data, and then we will decide as to whether the rates of 15% should be lowered, because we will have to look at Hong Kong's actual situation. In some countries, they have higher rates. In other countries, they have lower rates.
We talked about 1,000, but then but what about the completion date of the water intelligence network? We hope that we can install the detectors in 5 years' time, all the 2,000 of them. We are also using other ways to collect the data. And in fact, in the past, whenever leakage was identified, we took out immediate remedial or rehabilitation work in relation to the water mains. Can I have a second round? Ms. Eunice Young. Many residents in Taiwan have lodged complaints saying that for Long Hang Estate and also a private housing estate, they got black spots in their drinking water. The filters would have to be replaced even after a week's use. What about the regrading proposal? Does it help with addressing such complaints and speeding up the work concerning replacement of water mains? You have sent people to check the problem, but it seems that you're not able to identify the source of the problem. So by having the regrading, is it going to help? Director. You talked about the black spots in the water mains or the pipes. We need to get the right kind of people to do the work. Now the post will be held by civil engineer. I think this is a proper arrangement. When we supply water to the internal system, perhaps we should install an appropriate filter for households encountering such a problem. We have installed the kind of filter that I talked about, and we have been taking up the matter with the district councillors. Yes, for the filter, the screener, I think has been used for the first time. Let's hope that it is going to be effective. Another question is about the new territories branch. Now, instead of an AD, you will have a government engineer. So we're having a professional. How are you going to train the post holder? Thank you, Ms. Yong, for your question. When we select a colleague to fill the post, we'll look at the previous work experience as well as his or her performance. For us to deal with the local problems, we'll look at the experience of the colleague at the local level. Probably he would have been an assistant engineer and then get promoted to become an engineer, and he would have gathered the relevant experience. We'll certainly find the right candidate to fill the post and take up the task. First round, Mr. James Toh. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to go back to the fundamentals. It is said that you are going to merge the two streams of the engineer grade officers, and it will enhance staff planning. Assuming that we don't do this, I think it is cost neutral. I just doubt whether there will be changes on the human side. Please tell us about the adverse effect if we don't implement the change, so as to convince me that it should be done. Director, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Toh. We've reviewed the post. We believe that it is better to have a professional, namely a civil engineer, to fill the post. And after the regrading, it means that the civil engineers, since we're going to merge the two streams of civil engineers, there will be flexibility. So, in terms of training and in terms of flexible arrangement of human resources, we are going to benefit. Currently, what about the 4 ADs? Are they civil engineers? Professionally, they are civil engineers, but they cannot take up the government engineer post within the other works departments. So, a civil engineer in the WSD, but he cannot go to other works departments. Without the regrading, they can't. With the regrading, they can. So, before the regrading, you have got two streams of civil engineers. One, civil engineers for the WSD, the other for the rest of the works departments. Why is it so? Well, it is. It can be explained in footnote 2. Prior to 1965, they were not segregated, but since 1965, they were segregated. We have reviewed the situation. We believe that they should be merged again for better staff planning. I think at a panel meeting, it has been said that there are as many as 4 ADs. Now, they will be taken up by civil engineers. For non-civil engineers in the WSD, they cannot be promoted to this post. In fact, originally, other engineers could have been promoted to the 4 AD posts. So they will have a reduced opportunity to get promoted. Well, we have got 5 AD posts. In the past, civil engineers were able to fill all the 5 of them. Our current proposal is as follows. One of the AD posts will be taken out. In other words, civil engineers can't be promoted to that post, and it will only be open to the chief mechanical engineer, chief electrical engineer, and waterworks chemist. We have got 15 posts, and there are 5 AD posts, and the promotional prospects won't be affected because 3 chief professional officers can sort of fight for the post 3 against 1. Why is it that you are specifying that a non-civil engineer cannot fill the post? Well, currently, a few grades are suitable or can be promoted to the AD post. So I think what you have been saying is not right. For non-civil engineers in the WSD, currently they can get promoted to the 5 ADs. Well, 15 can get promoted to 5 posts, so the ratio is 3 to 1. Currently, we have got 5 AD posts, and there are 15 chief engineers or waterworks chemists. So the promotional chance is 1 to 3. So for the rank below the AD, they are all engineers. Perhaps I didn't make myself clear. We have got 5 AD posts, and there are 15 professionals who are chief professionals who may get promoted. Among them, are we talking about 10 civil engineers? 12. 12 civil engineers. 2 are mechanical engineers or electrical engineers, and 1 waterworks chemist. So there are 3 chief professionals, like the waterworks chemist and also the E&M engineer, may get promoted to the post of AD. For this AD post, currently, civil engineers can get promoted to this post, but not in the future. So a higher chance. The question has been answered. Next round, please. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. So some of them will certainly get promoted, so the promotional prospects have been reduced in relation to some of them. So the 3 of them will certainly get a post for promotion. It won't change. I understand. After the change, for the 12 civil engineers, they're going to divide the 4 posts among themselves, but they will go to the larger pool. Yes, to the larger pool. Then I understand. What will happen if the ME and the EE cannot get promoted? Is it possible that none of the AD will be somebody from with an ME, EE, or WC background? Well, in the past, many of the AD posts have been filled by civil engineers. One of them will be taken out, and it is not open to the civil engineers. So you're going to reserve a post for which the civil engineers can't take up. In other words, the chemist and the mechanical engineer or the electrical engineer can take it up. In the past, it means that the ME, EE, or WC could not get promoted. Now, the government engineers will be managed by the CEDD. That's what you're going to do. Well, upon regrading, one of the AD posts will not be open to civil engineers. So upon regrading, there will at most be 4 civil engineers who will be promoted. There will be 4 AD posts open to civil engineers. One will be reserved for others. That's open to others only, not for civil engineers. In other words, this is an AD which will certainly be filled by somebody who's either WC, EE, or ME. Now, there are 4 posts for civil engineers. The 5th one will not be open to civil engineers. We won't have somebody who is outside such categories. Now, most of the time in the past, engineers have been filling the post. Now, the others can now have a better chance. Surely, this is a case of be water. In the past, ME, EE, and WC may not get promoted to AD's level, and perhaps all of the AD posts have been filled by civil engineers. So now I understand what you are saying. But Mrs. Yip, my position is clear. When compared with white elephants, when we have to spend tens of billions of dollars, I think it's better to engage more people. Now, it's meaningless for Ms. Yung to ask the question for the luxurious housing development that she mentioned. They are still suffering from poor standard water. Now, Mr. Luk thought that the project hasn't been commenced. Well, in fact, he's accusing us of blocking the commencement, but in fact, it has been done. I think it's better for you to ask for more money to get more people to do the work. If you haven't got a vision, you don't have a mission. And then you won't have a target force. Without a target force, that means that you're missing the target. Well, I was taught this knowledge when I was at Form 2. So where's the vision? Where's the target?
And it's now time for me to ask questions. This is the simplest governance. I would like to ask the Director of Waterworks or Water Supplies. Now, for those 12 civil engineers, so in the future there will be a merger and they can also be promoted to CEDD posts. So what's the promotion ratio? I believe there will be an improvement. As I said just now, the promotion ratio is, well, there are 5 AD posts and 15 chief engineers and chemists, and the ratio is 1:3. After the merger, well, the CEDD has 81 ADs and 34 government engineers. 81 chief engineers will be fighting for that, and the ratio is 1 to 2.4. So that's not much difference. So how about E&M engineers? What will happen to the grade? Now it's still separated for WSDC and engineers. They will be promoted internally, and now they are separated from the engineers of the MSD. So will it change in the future? Because I think that's such a separation because of history. Well, we will be discussing with the EMSD and see what our colleagues' views are. Now for CEDD, there are 2. Well, you're doing the same job, but now there are 2 separate grades because of historical reasons. So for EMSD, I think you can also do the same. And water testing is very important. Just now you've had members' questions. Well, because this will affect people's drinking water, and also heavy metal may be involved. So I hope that you can attach more importance to the water task of your department in the future. Please pay attention to this. Second round. Mr. Edichu. Are you ready? I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Why do we lead desalination plants? Because we have climate change. Even though we have Dongjiang water, but the supply may not be stable. So we need something that would not be affected by climate change. But we should be more target specific. That is, we should be aiming at water conservation. This should be the direction. We won't be able to increase our water supply indefinitely. The the Environment Bureau has a carbon reduction target by 2013. When it's compared with 2005, the reduction should be 70%. So I would like to ask the WSD, when it comes to the increase in total water use, do you have a target? That is, by a certain year, we should stop in the increase in water use. As for per capita water use, can we halt the increase, or even can we reduce the amount of water use? Mr. Chi, for your questions, they are about policy, and I don't think they are totally related to today's regrading exercise. Well, yes, my question may be unrelated, but in the paper, it sets out the duties of different ADs, and one of them is to review and implement a comprehensive water resources management strategy. So this should be related. As for the conservation of water, we attach a lot of importance to that. In the past 10 years, each year the total use increased by 0.25%, and for per capita use is 130 liters per day. For Singapore, Australia, and other countries, we can see that if the per capita water use is to be under control, the best way to do it is legislation. That is only labeled water works equipments can be used. And this year, we have made it mandatory. That is, for new buildings, if they apply for water supply, we ask them to use labeled water conservation equipment. So we will look further into that. In the coming few years, we will try to find out if we can have our own labeling system for water conservation equipment. This will be useful. And for some organizations or institutions, they may be using huge amounts of water. We have conducted studies, and we have issued water conservation plans to help them. Yes, I understand that you have different measures. We were talking about water mains leakage just now. So for per capita water usage, do you have a target? Well, we are now making calculation by a certain year. We hope that people can save 10 liters of water per day per person. We think this will be acceptable this will be well received by the public. We have also looked at overseas approaches, and we think that legislation is a very effective way. So our target would be 10 liters per person. Now everybody uses 130 liters per day on average. We want to reduce it to 120 liters. Please line up, Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Yes, we have been talking about water main leakage. Members, now is 10:25. We still have 3 members waiting. I cannot extend today's meeting because at 10:45 there will be a public service panel meeting. We still have 3 members lining up: James To, Fernando Cheung, Helena Wong. Do you want to pass this paper today? Clark, what will be happening to this room? Okay, we will extend this meeting to 10:45. Second round, James To. Please be succinct. Madam Chair, you have asked half of my questions. Well, for water conservation, I think we have this inverted filter equipment. I think if you make it mandatory to use that, it may be useful. And I have some other questions. Yes, I understand about the merger of the 2 grades, etc. So for the civil engineers, did they ask for it? Because for your department, you have 4 ADs. So do they think that in the future they can be promoted to the director of CED? Well, if not, if you just look at the AD posts, then just now you told us that there's more than 80 AD posts in the CEDD. So some people may think that they are high flyers. They think that they may even be promoted to the director of CED. Yes, they can also be promoted to be the director of water supplies. As I explained just now, this is a historical issue. In 2008, the Development Bureau saw that if the civil engineers are divided into 2 separate grades, then macroscopically it's not good for manpower deployment. So it's but from the management perspective. So we hope that we can make it more flexible so that when it comes to manpower planning, it would be better. So if you want more, CEDD can deploy some engineers to you. But now I think if the CEDD needs more engineers, you can send your engineers to the CEDD for non-water works projects, right? Well, for WSD civil engineers, now they can only work in WSD, so it's not good for their vision and experience accumulation. Well, because they are all the civil engineers, so if WSD civil engineers can go to other departments and engineers from other departments can also come to us, that would be good for human resources planning. So we have consulted the relevant civil engineers, and well, in 2008 they had some concerns, but in the past year we've been talking to them. For the new arrangement and proposal, they actually welcome it. Any other questions? No? Second round, Fernando Cheung. Chairman, the government says that for this regrading, it has nothing to do with the lead in water incidents. So you are just merging the grades of civil engineers in different departments. It would be better for promotion and deployment of civil engineers. So it would be better for management and also for the civil engineers. They may have more opportunities. However, your goal should be serving the public. And how can this be done? The biggest issue for the WSD is the lead in water incidents. And in the relevant report, you are asked to redefine the roles of the Water Authority and the WSD, and it is also just suggested that an independent body should be set up to monitor the work of WSD and water quality in Hong Kong. So now you are doing this regrading exercise. How will you meet these goals? I cannot see it. You sound very urgent. But for the lead in water incident report, it states that you should test all the water mains in public housing, and you should also make other improvements. Those are more urgent. How come you are not doing those things? And now you are just working for the civil engineers so that they will have a better promotional path. So when will you carry out or implement the recommendations in the report? Now for that report, one of the recommendations is about the clear definition of the roles of the Water Authority and the WSD. And under the Development Bureau, an interdepartmental task force is set up to look at this issue. We have hired consultants to help. They are looking at overseas approaches. That is, in terms of organizational structure, how they are doing it. Well, why don't you give us a timetable? The report has been issued for a year, so when will you start doing things? As I said just now, internally, we are talking to the relevant policy bureaus about the consultant's recommendation. So we will try to reach a consensus as soon as possible. What do you mean by as soon as possible? I can only tell you that we will do it as soon as possible.
Madam Chair, I don't think there's anything more urgent than addressing the problem of lead in water, because it is almost a scandal and it is affecting everybody in Hong Kong. I think it's better to enhance the governance of the WSD, and we should enhance the monitoring of your performance. That's more urgent, and yet you don't think the same. You think it's better to regrade the posts. I cannot understand why the administration has got the parties wrong. Because after all, it is a matter of water safety. Director, the members' right to be concerned about water safety. The COI report has a number of recommendations. Some of them have been introduced when we are ready for them. Say, for example, the Commission has suggested that we should introduce statutory control over plumbing workers and other workers responsible for the installation of internal systems. And then the development and training of licensed plumbers. Again, we have already talked to the relevant training bodies, and we have plans to train the plumbers. So in terms of water safety, whenever we are ready, we have been implementing the recommendations. On this occasion, would like to regrade their posts because we want to sort of enhance our manpower planning. Dr. N. First round. Before I ask my question, can I confirm the following point? For this change, it is not a matter of promotion. Is that right? I think the level is still at D2. I want to know whether there is any enhancement. No, regrading only. So just changing the job title, right? Yes. Madam Chair, the administration has looked at the issue for a long time. Now the administration would come up with changes to the establishment. This is understandable. Well, the government may think that it is necessary to tie in with the operational needs, and it can facilitate better communication. However, the department has said that in year 2008, their officers were concerned. Is it because the engineers would be affected? What is the nature of their concern? Yes, nature of their concern. Madam Chair, they were concerned about the changes. They were concerned about the appraisal. They are concerned that when they are posted to another department, then whether they will go to other departments as well. The two streams were different in terms of such matters. Over the years, we have already standardized them, and we have already tried it. That is how we could apply the same appraisal system to appraise our officers. And therefore, in 2016, when we had another round of consultation, colleagues were happy with that, and so they support our proposal. You have said that they welcomed. Now you say that is support. So they are in support. They don't have other concerns, right? Madam Chair, when there is a change, parties involved may ask questions, or they may be upset and they may not feel assured. So I think it's better to explain the details clearly to the relevant civil servants so they don't need to worry. They don't need to worry about the future. Because when their job prospect is affected, they will get concerned. Madam Chair, we support this. This has already been discussed. The change will mean that waterworks chemist, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer will have a higher chance of promotion. So this is also the case for civil engineers. So the staff are in support. Dr. Helena Wong, before they go to the FC, I hope that they will submit the express reports to the members. We want to take a look. Please also give us an idea about the timetable. The director has briefly mentioned that we want to know how the government is to follow up on the recommendations of the COI. For this establishment proposal, we take into account the promotional prospect of the 15 existing staff members. I think the worst case in this proposal is that you have 5 posts and yet you haven't got a post holder responsible for water quality assurance. Now, even with your new organizational structure, you've got nothing to address our concern. You have always been emphasizing the supply of water, but you have neglected over the quality of water safety. Do you have sufficient experts to be a gatekeeper for water quality? Now, if on this occasion you can loudly tell us that you are determined you will get a water quality expert to look at the plumbing system and other works to make sure that the water will not be contaminated, then it's a different story. You haven't. And in fact, under the development branch, you have the water science division. Now you are saying that the AD development can only be filled by civil engineer. In other words, scientists from the water science division can never be promoted to the post of AD development. Now you're saying that it doesn't matter. They can always bid for the 5th AD post together with the mechanical engineers and electrical engineers. But then the waterworks chemist is a scientist. Even if he can become the AD E&M, it will be difficult for him to oversee his subordinates because that's not his expertise. Yes, you may want to give equal opportunities to them to be promoted, but then when promoted, he will no longer be overseeing the portfolio of the development branch. He will go to the E&M branch. I don't think he can command their sort of respect. Time is running out. This was raised at the development panel. We went back to take another look. The overriding principle is what sort of expertise we need for a particular AD post. In the past, we did not have AD development filled by a chemist. On the other hand, for the AD E&M, at one stage it was filled by chemists, so staff members did welcome. Because you never allowed them to get promoted, it hasn't been sorted out. We asked the question at the development panel meeting. You didn't give us in writing. You turned a deaf ear to our views. Time is limited, so written answer. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Now it is said that you are welcome to go to the WSD's website. Water is an important element for survival. Therefore, we are determined to provide clean and reliable water to the 7 million people in Hong Kong. We support the prosperity of Hong Kong so that the this is the first page of your website. This is a welcome message. So you talk about clean and reliable water. Now actually you're going to make a change. There will be a reform. The waterworks chemist will stand a chance to become one of the 5 ADs. I think the chemist can be helpful here. In year 2008, you were an engineer. When you were consulted at that time, what was your view? In 2013, you became the director of waterworks, or the director of water supplies. I think you have a legal background, so probably, surprisingly, you stood to benefit. I can understand 5 ADs. Can you not have a dedicated officer for water quality? No, you haven't got this arrangement. Are you still true to your welcoming message? I think, in fact, it isn't a welcoming message. It's like a eulogy. You just give out condolences. Now, others have asked me not to say more, but are you being responsible? Are you accountable? You used to be an engineer. Now you have to bear the responsibility. You have to bear the liability. You are a D6. Can you not get another D6 officer? Does it involve a lot of money? I think we need somebody responsible for water leakage and water quality. Now you've only got engineers. Even if you have the waterworks chemists and the mechanical engineers, they may not help. For 2 years, have you ever considered a reform? Have we been blocking your reform? We have asked you not to come here to withdraw money. I want you to get money for your reform. Mr. Lam, you are bearing the blame. Admin, any reply? We've been working on it. We've got new initiatives. Why don't you have an additional D6 officer? Now you say that you find it regrettable. Well, perhaps we vote on it at the FC. Please give us something in writing. Ways to enhance our water quality, for example. All right, thank you. Members, if you haven't got other questions, are there other questions? Madam Wong, I ask for this to be voted on separately and also replies in writing for Ms. Wong's question. I'll put the matter to the vote. Those who are in favor, show of hands, please. Those who are against, please raise our hands. No one objects. I declare that the paper has been endorsed. It will be voted separately. Next meeting to be held at 9 o'clock on the 3rd of July until 12:30 p.m. Thank you.